Before the dawn can part the mist, the battle for survival has already begun. The hunter and the hunted separated only by a single moment between life and extinction. Nature does not forgive error, and mercy has never existed here. Each passing day is a trial, where instinct is the only compass that guides the way. Africa, an ancient continent, vast and untamed, where the land breathes with stories older than time itself. Here, under endless skies and across sprawling landscapes, survival is a daily struggle written in dust, shadow, and blood. At the heart of this wilderness are the ultimate predators. They are nature's finest creations, honed by millions of years of evolution into hunters of unparalleled skill. Lions dominate the open plains, their roars echoing like thunder, a reminder that they are the rulers of the savannah. Leopards glide silently through the dense forests, masters of concealment whose presence is known only when it is too late. Cheetahs, born for speed, turn every chase into a dramatic life-or-death pursuit. Beneath the waterways, crocodiles lie in wait with ancient patience. Their strike is sudden, swift, and absolute. But the land of these predators is not defined by violence alone. Each hunter is a guardian of balance, ensuring that the great herds do not overwhelm the fragile ecosystems. The migration of the wildebeest, the movements of zebra and gazelle, even the nesting of birds. All are shaped by the shadow of these hunters. The predators are not destroyers. They are the protectors of balance, silently upholding the web of life. Yet, Africa remains a place of mystery. Beyond the familiar giants, other predators still roam. Hyenas, intelligent and resourceful, often underestimated but vital to the cycle of survival. And the birds of prey, whose keen eyes command the skies. To step into Africa is to step into a realm where beauty and brutality coexist. Every dawn brings new stories of courage, competition, and resilience. Every sunset whispers of the hard-won survival under a fading Sunday. This is not just a story of predators. This is the story of Africa itself, majestic, mysterious, and eternal. Welcome to the secret heart of Africa, a kingdom ruled by the ultimate predators. Nyera is not just a sanctuary. It is a fortress against extinction. A place where nature is still allowed to heal itself. Now let us turn our gaze beneath the water's surface. Here, under the cool riverbanks, where the floodplain forest holds moisture year-round, another giant lies submerged, silent and still. Pods of hippos rest in the cool shallows. Their massive bodies are cloaked by the murky water, waiting for nightfall and the call of the land. They surface only for a moment, taking a breath every few minutes before disappearing again beneath the river's calm facade. As darkness falls, they silently emerge from the water, treading ancient, well-worn paths out into the open grasslands. Here, under the cover of darkness, each individual can consume up to 88 pounds of fresh grass in a single night. However, few creatures dare to confront a full-grown hippo. Weighing between 3,300 and 4,000 pounds, with jaws that can open to an astonishing 150 degrees, the hippo is a living embodiment of raw power. They are not predators, but when provoked, they have been known to take down crocodiles, African buffalo, and even humans. Underwater, they exhibit another unique behavior to mark their territory. By flicking its tail back and forth at high speed while defecating, a dominant male will spray its waste over a wide area. This is not an unsanitary act, but a powerful visual and olfactory message to assert its dominance. Their survival is not just about physicality, but also about evolution. Within this river giant lies an oceanic secret, a story of a path not taken. Millions of years ago, its ancestor stood at a fork in the river of time. One path led to the deep oceans and became the whale. The other remained bound to the land and the river, becoming the hippo. They are two answers to the same ancient question, forever separated by their choices, yet still whispering to each other in a shared language of the water. Despite their differences, whales and hippos still share remarkable biological traits. Underwater communication using low frequencies and giving birth underwater, and the remarkable ability to hold their breath for up to 6 minutes. But their role extends beyond mere survival. Hippos are crucial architects of the river ecosystem. Through their behavior of stirring up the mud, they redistribute nutrients, allowing aquatic plants to thrive. Sharing these waters is another character, sometimes a rival, sometimes a neighbor, the Nile crocodile. Patient and silent, it lies in wait just below the surface, with only its eyes, ears, and nostrils exposed. Perfectly still, perfectly ready, waiting for that fatal moment when an unsuspecting animal steps to the water's edge to drink. This jaw is evolution's ultimate commitment to a single, final act. All of its power, all of its purpose, is channeled into the closing snap. In this brutal bargain, the strength to open has been sacrificed for the absolute power to hold shut. It is a weapon designed only to end a struggle, never to begin one gently. This reveals a clear evolutionary priority. The Nile crocodile has maximized its offensive power at the cost of flexibility. In these hidden nests, the sun itself plays God. For the destiny of an entire generation is not decided by genes, but by the warmth of the sand. A subtle shift in temperature is all it takes to tip the balance, to decree whether a dynasty of kings or queens will emerge from the shells. In riverine forest ecosystems, the Nile crocodile helps regulate populations of fish and the mammals that come to drink. Leaving the humid riverine forests, the landscape opens up into vast savannas and miombo woodlands that stretch to the horizon. This is an arid and hot place. Yet, it forms the biological heart of Nyerere National Park. Two distinct rainy seasons bring between 30 and 51 inches of rainfall annually, breathing life into the landscape. and setting the rhythm for plant growth cycles. Conversely, the long dry season with minimal rainfall forces wildlife to travel farther in search of water and food. In this sun-scorched, sparsely vegetated land, where rain is a rarity, the African elephant does not just survive, it transforms its environment. As deeply social creatures, elephants live in tight-knit herds, often led by an experienced matriarch. She guides their movements, imparts vital knowledge, and protects the young. An elephant's trunk is not just a tool, it is a lifeline. With over 40,000 muscles, it performs a range of tasks: plucking tender leaves, breaking thick branches, digging for hidden underground water. Their spatial memory is phenomenal. Elephants can remember the locations of dozens of water sources and seasonal foraging areas, traveling up to 18 miles a day in search of them. An advantage that proves crucial during prolonged droughts. Like their Asian relatives, the African elephant herd revolves around the oldest female, the matriarch. But her leadership is not earned through dominance, it is wisdom. African elephants also possess remarkable emotional intelligence. They engage in greeting ceremonies, share food, and mourn their dead with moving displays of grief. According to a 2024 report by the Worldwide Fund for Nature, the African elephant population in the Nyerere ecosystem has recovered to nearly 20,000 individuals. As the great herds fade over the horizon, their forms swallowed by the golden dust, a new chapter begins. From the grasses, towering figures emerge. The African buffalo stepping out onto the open savanna like ancient warriors. They gather in great numbers under the unforgiving African Sunday. Resilient, enduring, and unyielding, the African buffalo stands as a living symbol of resistance and survival. In the wet season, these formidable animals gather in massive herds, sometimes numbering in the thousands. It is not just a spectacular sight, it is a strategy. Buffalo are a favored target for lions. A 2024 study revealed they account for 46% of lion predation attempts and provide more than half of their total consumed biomass. When danger lurks, the young are instinctively sheltered in the center of the herd. While the strongest males form a living wall on the perimeter. These guardians do not flee, they fight. Armed with curved horns and raw muscle, they have been seen to confront and even repel lions in impressive displays of strength and solidarity. The buffalo herds prefer open savannas near water sources, migrating with the rhythm of the seasons to chase greener pastures and avoid scarcity. As the sun sets below the horizon, darkness drapes the plains, and a silent tension descends. The herd becomes vigilant. In the arid savannas and sparse woodlands of Nigeria, the lion's hunt is not just a primal instinct. It is a masterclass in coordination and strategy. Here, hunting is a calculated team effort. When it comes time to take down a formidable target like an adult African buffalo, it is the males who charge forward. A 2024 study in these arid regions revealed a clear preference. 56% of successful lion hunts targeted African buffalo. And in the dry season, when the buffalo travel farther for water and visibility is reduced by the tall grass, the lion's advantage grows. But in the wild, no meal is guaranteed. Just as the lion settles down to enjoy its hard-won prize, a presence stirs in the shadows. Wily, cautious eyes have watched the action from a distance. Before the lion can realize it, the carcass is gone. In such cases, there is only one prime suspect, the spotted hyena. Across the arid savannas and sparse woodlands of Nyera National Park, a cunning force stalks both day and night, the spotted hyena. Often misrepresented as mere scavengers, these formidable predators are, in fact, one of Africa's most successful hunters. Combining the instincts of both predator and opportunist, hyenas operate with remarkable flexibility. They roam the landscape in large clans, sometimes numbering from 20 to 80 individuals. A 2024 study revealed that spotted hyenas obtain 60 to 95% of their food through active hunting, excelling particularly against prey like wildebeest and impala. While they may lack the raw bulk of lions, hyenas compete with them on every other front. Are fierce competitors, sharing nearly 60% of the same food sources. But in Nyera, hyenas do more than just scavenge. They hunt on their own terms. Small hunting parties, often of 2 to 5 individuals, target medium-sized prey, chasing down antelope at speeds of up to 37 miles per hour. Beneath their cunning lies sheer power. Spotted hyenas boast the strongest bite force among terrestrial carnivores in the hyena family, up to 4,500 newtons, capable of crushing large bones. Their advantages extend beyond strength. With exceptional agility, hearing that can detect sounds up to 6 miles away, and a deceptive range of vocalizations, hyenas hold a distinct tactical edge. The cheetah's body is engineered for the sprint. Long limbs, a lightweight frame, and a fused spine create a perfect spring for explosive movement. Unlike other big cats that can fully retract their claws, the cheetah's claws are only semi-retractable, acting much like the spikes on a sprinter's shoes. This unique structure provides excellent traction on the ground, allowing for explosive accelerations and sharp, high-speed turns without slipping. But what it gains in speed, it sacrifices in strength. Unlike lions or leopards, the cheetah cannot climb easily, nor can it defend its kill against more powerful rivals. Its lightweight skull, designed for aerodynamic efficiency, results in a weaker bite force, limiting its ability to crush bone or hold onto larger prey. This fragility extends to the genetic level. Twice in the last 100,000 years, and again just 12,000 years ago, the species experienced severe genetic bottlenecks. As a result, today's cheetah population shares less than 4% of the genetic diversity typical of other mammals. Speed is both a blessing and a burden. The cheetah's hunting strategy depends on its keen eyesight and raw acceleration, targeting prey over short distances in broad daylight. But that burst is brief, lasting only 20 to 30 seconds before the risk of overheating threatens collapse. And while the cheetah excels in the chase, it falters in the aftermath. It lacks the brute strength to defend its kill, the stealth to avoid detection, and the social bonds for cooperative hunting or fending off threats. In stark contrast to the solitary sprint of the cheetah, the African wild dog thrives on unity, hunting not alone but as a pack in perfect coordination. It begins in silence, a slow, synchronized advance across the open plains. Each individual is aware of its role. No sound, no signal, just instinct and an unspoken bond. A 2025 camera trap study in the Nyerere region documented 141 African wild dogs distributed across 24 packs. Most groups averaged 6 members, though some robust packs could number up to 23. These are not merely hunters. They are elite pursuit predators with a success rate of 60 to 90%. Wild dogs far outperform lions or leopards. Each hunt unfolds like a symphony. Members communicate through a series of high-pitched chirps and whines, tracking not only their prey but also the position and movement of every member of the pack. Capable of reaching speeds up to 40 miles per hour, they can sustain a relentless pursuit over 1 to 2.5 miles, gradually exhausting their prey. Then surrounding and overwhelming it with precision. But perhaps their most extraordinary trait lies not in how they hunt, but in their compassion. In wild dog society, care is shared. The stronger adults regurgitate food not only for the pups, but also for the elderly or injured members of the pack. Today, Nyerere supports the largest known population of African wild dogs anywhere on the continent, from 800 to 1,000 individuals. They flow across the savannah like a living current. Across the open savannas and sparse woodlands, a figure towers above all else: the Angolan giraffe, also known as the smoky giraffe. This height advantage means the giraffe does not compete directly with other grazers like impala or African buffalo. But what it gains in height, it pays for in maneuverability. Drinking presents a particular challenge. To lower its head to a waterhole, a giraffe must splay its long front legs or kneel awkwardly, placing it in one of the most vulnerable positions in the animal kingdom. But nature, the master of balance, has equipped the giraffe with extraordinary internal adaptations. A complex system of valves in its arteries and veins manages blood flow along its slender neck. Its heart, a 24-pound engine, generates the immense pressure needed to pump blood nearly 20 feet high. In the rainy season, shallow pools are plentiful. But even then, the giraffe often prefers to hydrate through the moisture-rich foliage of acacia and combretum trees. In the dry season, when water becomes scarce, they are forced to take greater risks. Venturing to exposed waterholes, they become easy targets for ambushing lions or lurking Nile crocodiles. Yet, the giraffe persists. Blessed with a remarkable tolerance for dehydration, it can survive for 2 to 3 days without drinking, relying instead on the water reserves in its leafy diet. Beyond the clearing, another character enters the stage: the Maasai giraffe. It steps gracefully into the spaces left by the elephants. Towering over the acacia trees, it feeds on the soft new foliage. This is the tallest of all giraffe species and the tallest terrestrial animal on Earth. A full-grown Maasai giraffe can stand up to 19 feet tall. This remarkable stature allows them to reach the treetops that few other herbivores can touch. In the rainy season, when the acacia trees burst with fresh leaves, they browse from the canopy down. But their towering height also carries a potential weakness. To drink, a giraffe must spread its legs or kneel to reach the water's surface, a moment of dangerous exposure. However, this giant of the savannah is now under threat. Since 2019, the Maasai giraffe has been listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. In the last 3 decades, their numbers have fallen by nearly half, from 70,000 to only about 32,000 individuals in the wild as of 2024. The throne of the savannah belongs to one species alone, the lion. Unlike the others, it needs no competition or recognition. As the apex predator, it knows its place. In the pride, the rules are clear. The dominant male protects the territory and the young, while the lionesses, swift, precise, and powerful, carry out the hunt. From the edge of the forest, where the darkness meets the open plains, they lie in wait. This threshold is the boundary that all prey must cross. Here, the lionesses strike with coordinated force. The male holds back, standing guard against threats. Yet, tradition governs the feast. Even after a successful hunt, the first bite belongs to him. The lion is unique among the cat family. They live in prides, complex social units bound by cooperation, hunting, protection, and the shared raising of young. For the young males, life is harsh. At 2 to 3 years of age, they are driven out, forced to wander in search of a kingdom of their own. When they take over a pride, they often eliminate the previous male's offspring, sending the females into estrus. A brutal but effective strategy to ensure their own lineage. A lion's territory can range from 8 to 154 square miles. In the dry season, waterholes become magnets for prey and ambush sites for lions. The diet varies with location and season. In the western corridor of the Serengeti, zebra can make up nearly half of their prey, along with buffalo, wildebeest, and warthog. But even the rulers are not invincible. Across Africa, lion numbers are declining. A 2025 study in conservation biology warned that prey loss is leading to population decline. And on the open plains, there can be only one true sprinter, the cheetah. The cheetah is the fastest land animal on Earth, capable of reaching speeds of up to 75 miles per hour in just a few seconds. an acceleration that rivals a Ferrari. But speed comes at a price. Their narrow skulls reduce wind resistance, but they also leave them with weaker jaws and shorter canines. To survive, the cheetah chooses its battles carefully, focusing on the vulnerable, the young, the solitary, the stragglers of the herd. Before the chase begins, a cheetah climbs a termite mound or a low rise, observing the wind's direction and the movement of the gazelles. For years, scientists believed that overheating forced the cheetah to abandon its hunt. But research at the University of the Witwatersrand has revealed the opposite. Body temperature during the chase rarely exceeds 101.1 degrees Fahrenheit, rising only after a successful hunt, not from exertion but from stress. To maximize success, the cheetah hunts in the twilight hours of dawn and dusk, when the savanna is cooler and the dominant predators are less active. The cheetah's existence is a constant risk. Their reproductive rates are low, and their cubs are extremely fragile. In the wild, up to 90% of cubs under 3 months old do not survive. Cheetahs roam vast territories, from 174 to 579 square miles, patrolled with silent efficiency. Unlike lions, they defend these ranges not with violence, but with scent. As the sun begins to set below the horizon, a golden light filters through the trees along the Rufiji River. On the low branches, a troop of vervet monkeys gathers. They are drawn to the cool refuge of the floodplain forest, where the roots of fig and sycamore trees retain precious moisture. Sustaining hidden underground water sources through the harsh, dry season. Vervet monkeys live in tight-knit social groups of 10 to 50 individuals. In these dynamic communities, every member plays a role in survival. Their pale, greenish-gray coats and jet-black faces make them instantly recognizable. But it is their language, a complex system of calls and gestures, that allows them to thrive. Masters of survival, vervet monkeys rely on a sharp memory, a flexible diet, and an almost instinctual understanding of their environment. Through these adaptive strategies, vervet monkeys become more than just inhabitants of the forest. They become ecosystem engineers. They disperse seeds, regulate insect populations, and serve as living indicators of the forest's overall health. From the towering treetops along the Rufiji River, a piercing cry echoes across the floodplain. It is the unmistakable call of the African fish eagle, the anthem of the African birds. With a wingspan of nearly 8 feet, this striking predator is instantly recognizable by its snow-white head and chestnut-colored body, a symbol of power and elegance. They live in bonded pairs, nesting high on the riverbanks, where the dense riverine forests provide both shelter and a commanding view over their aquatic domain. Its hunting style is nothing short of spectacular. Soaring high on the thermals, it scans the shimmering water below. Then, in a powerful burst, it dives, talons extended, snatching fish weighing up to 4.5 pounds from just below the surface. But this master of the skies is not above a little piracy. Opportunistic and cunning, It will sometimes steal prey from other birds, kingfishers, pelicans, asserting its dominance with a calculated ease. As the dry season arrives and the fish retreat to deeper pools, the eagle moves closer to the shore, its haunting call echoing louder through the thinning foliage. With an estimated 300,000 to 400,000 individuals across the freshwater systems of sub-Saharan Africa, the African fish eagle is more than just a charismatic predator. It is an ecological barometer. One of the most striking sights in this ecosystem is the bold stripes of the plains zebra. Its impressive black and white pattern cuts through the green, standing out like spontaneous brushstrokes on a living canvas. After the rains, these zebras gather in large herds on the lush, moisture-rich grasslands. Here, the new shoots, dense with nutrients, carpet the plains with abundance, offering a feast for the herbivores. They often travel with antelope species like impala and lechwe, forming loose associations that offer mutual protection. In this symbiotic network of the grasslands, zebras also play a subtle but essential role as ecological pathfinders. By grazing on the taller grasses, they clear the way for smaller herbivores to access the tender shoots hidden beneath. But these iconic stripes offer more than just beauty. Each pattern is as unique as a fingerprint, helping individuals to recognize one another. More remarkably, they act as a natural repellent against biting insects like tsetse flies and play a role in regulating body temperature. A familiar sight in the wetlands and seasonal floodplains of Nyera National Park is the African jacana. Often called the Jesus bird for its ability to walk on water. With its oversized feet and extraordinarily long toes, it defies gravity. Stepping gracefully on floating vegetation as if gliding effortlessly across the water's surface. This remarkable adaptation is not just eye-catching. It allows the African jacana to thrive in the dense, hyacinth-filled shallows, places too treacherous for most other species. But perhaps most striking is their reversal of parental roles. Here, the female courts multiple males, while the male takes on the entire burden of incubating the eggs and raising the young, a rare dynamic among birds. Among them is the black rhino. Unlike their cousins who roam the open savannas, these rhinos prefer the steep slopes, the granite hills where dense layers of bush, fragmented forests, and rocky terrain conceal them in mystery. This is one of the last places on Earth where the black rhino can exist almost in complete secrecy. Their story is not one of spectacle, but of silence. They move slowly, deliberately, weaving through the combretum thickets, marking their paths with scars on the trees, and faint, dusty footprints on the baked earth. Their signature horn, iconic and curved, is more than a weapon. It is a tool used to dig, strip bark, and break branches. It helps them survive in the arid, unforgiving terrain. Yet, this ancient creature walks on the knife's edge of extinction. Its vulnerability lies not just in its dwindling numbers, but in the very nature of its life. The black rhino reproduces slowly, a single calf every 4 to 5 years, with the mother nursing for up to 2 years. Even the loss of a single animal echoes for decades. Under the vast blue sky, the first light of dawn bathes the golden grasslands. Herds of wildebeest, zebra, and buffalo graze peacefully, unaware that danger lurks in the shadows. This is no quiet paradise. This is a kingdom ruled by predators. And at the apex is the lion, more than just an apex predator. It is a timeless symbol of power and authority. The savanna is a land where vitality and harshness are intertwined. A vast expanse of rolling grasslands, scattered thickets, and winding rivers that cut through the arid plains. However, not every part of this landscape is suitable for lions. These apex predators require open spaces for hunting and movement, along with sparse woodlands and low bushes for cover and ambush. Lions depend on reliable water supplies and abundant prey to sustain their prides. This is why areas like Kruger National Park in South Africa and the Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania have become strongholds for these magnificent predators. However, survival on the savanna is not easy. Each day brings new challenges. Water sources dry up, prey migrates with the seasons, and danger lurks around every corner. Unlike most great cats, which are solitary hunters, lions form social groups called prides. Drawing strength not just from their physical power, but from the deep bonds shared among the pride members. A typical lion pride consists of 10 to 15 individuals, although in ideal conditions, it can grow to as many as 30. At the heart of the pride are the lioness's mothers, sisters, and aunts. Life in a lion pride is not just about hunting and defending territory. It is a delicate balance of power, cooperation, and deep social bonds. Gentle licks on the golden fur and soft head rubs are not just grooming rituals. They strengthen unity, reduce tension, and reaffirm each lion's place within the pride. The African savanna, with its endless grasslands stretching to the horizon, is the grand stage for a timeless epic of resilience, strength, and unity. Recent ecological studies have found that vultures often fly at altitudes of 1,600 to 5,000 feet around the waterholes during the dry season. This is when the mortality rate of animals is high due to exhaustion, malnutrition, or injuries sustained while competing for water. From above, with a vision 3 to 4 times sharper than a human's, they can spot a wildebeest straying from its herd. Unlike the New World vultures, which rely heavily on their sense of smell, the African vultures are completely dependent on their sight. This effect can attract dozens or even hundreds of vultures in less than an hour. Their bald heads and necks allow them to reach deep into the chest cavity or the abdominal region of a carcass without their feathers getting matted or dirty. Their strong, curved beaks can tear through the thick hide of large animals like the African buffalo or the giraffe. A long, flexible neck allows them to access the most nutrient-rich organs, the liver, the heart, the intestines, which are full of protein and minerals. Their immune system is a biological marvel. With a stomach acid that has a pH close to 1, they can neutralize pathogens. Their migratory behavior is much more flexible than that of many other birds of prey. And then, another opportunist strides into the scene. They can travel for hundreds of miles to follow the movements of the wildebeest and the zebra or to reach areas affected by drought. At the waterhole, the competition for food is not just between different vulture species, but also includes the marabou stork. Both feed on the carrion from the leftover prey of the predator, but the vulture has the advantage in numbers, tearing strength, and speed of arrival. They usually arrive just a few minutes after the vultures have started to gather. The marabous descend with a slow but determined gait, walking straight into the crowd. In many cases, that beak becomes a weapon used to push back the rivals and snatch the best pieces of meat. Their evolutionary adaptations are clearly reflected in their physical traits. Like many vultures, their head and neck are almost bald, sometimes with just a few downy feathers, which minimizes the risk of contamination. Their large, strong, and straight beak acts like a dagger, capable of cutting through tough muscle tissue and even killing small prey. Their diet shows how opportunistic they are. Besides scavenging, the marabou stork also eats fish, frogs, insects, lizards, nestlings, eggs, and rodents. They frequently forage in the garbage dumps near human settlements, where leftover food becomes a convenient source of energy. Sometimes they wait for the vultures to tear open the thick hide before stepping in to claim the softer tissues inside, saving effort and avoiding risk. At the waterhole, their role extends beyond scavenging. The marabou stork closely observes the weak or injured animals, attacking with quick pecks. They are also known to hunt for fish in the shrinking pools as the dry season deepens. But that long beak can also be a disadvantage, making it difficult to grip slippery fish in the muddy water. But high above, a pair of golden eyes is watching for every mistake. Perched motionless on a bare, sun-bleached branch, the African fish eagle locks its piercing golden eyes on the scene below. The splash of water and the flapping of wings become a signal too loud to ignore. The eagle leans forward slightly, spreads its 7.5-foot wingspan, and dives, the wind whistling as it descends. But it is not aiming for the fish in the water. It is aiming for the one holding it. A shrill cry tears through the air, and the marabou stork freezes, glancing up for a split second. Just a moment's hesitation, and the fish slips from its beak, falling to the muddy ground. In a flash, the African fish eagle folds its wings and dives like an arrow, its legs extended, its talons lined with rough, horny scales. The African fish eagle is a close relative of the North American bald eagle. It is found widely throughout sub-Saharan Africa, from the Great Lakes like Victoria, Tanganyika, and Malawi to the great rivers like the Nile and the Zambezi. Their movements are not long-distance migrations, but seasonal shifts driven by the availability of food. In the ecosystem, the African fish eagle plays a dual role. As a top predator of fish and waterfowl, and as both a scavenger and a kleptoparasite, taking advantage of the meals that others have caught. As the shadows of darkness fade over the still surface of the waterhole, the last sounds of the night begin to quiet. Only the harshness of the deep, dry season remains, tightening its grip on the savanna. The predators have retreated, leaving behind a heavy silence. This is the beginning of a new day, a day where the lines of survival are drawn ever more sharply. The savanna enters the most arid phase of the year, the deep, dry season, where all life is drawn to a single focal point, the waterhole. Under the increasingly intense sun, the shoreline recedes inward day by day, leaving behind a layer of cracked mud and a jumble of overlapping footprints. The small, shallow pools are the first to disappear. During prolonged droughts, the water level in many of the smaller holes drops steadily by 1 to 2 inches per day. In less than 2 weeks, a shallow depression can dry up completely. The remaining, deeper, wider waterholes become the final gathering points of the savanna. Every species converges. Whether it is an elephant leading its herd across dozens of miles or an impala threading its way through the bush, all are drawn to the one dwindling source. No more boundaries between predator and prey. No more choosing a safer time to drink. No more space to keep a safe distance. The waterhole becomes nature's last supper. The Cape buffalo are often the first to arrive simply because they are rarely far away. They make their way to the waterhole through the arid African savanna. These buffalo are widely distributed across southern and eastern Africa, with a total population of African buffalo estimated at about 513,000 individuals. That number continues to decline, a long-term trend driven by habitat loss, hunting, and climate change. They have adapted through a strong herd lifestyle. The groups can range from a few dozen to over 1,000 individuals, with a clear social structure and hierarchy. As they approach the waterhole, their first instinct is to drink. They usually arrive in the early morning or late afternoon to avoid the scorching heat. The mud along the water's edge offers more than just refreshment. The Cape buffalo wallow in it to cool down, protecting themselves from flies, mosquitoes, and parasites. Once it dries, the mud acts as a natural suit of armor. This is also when social interactions occur most frequently. But the waterhole is anything but safe. This life-sustaining resource always brings competition. Sometimes the Cape buffalo confronts a rhinoceros. But when the true giants arrive, all must make way. The greater threat, however, comes from the elephants. When an elephant herd arrives, the Cape buffalo almost always retreat. They are simply not in the same weight class as the largest land mammals on Earth. And while the African elephant is known for its gentle nature, they can become very territorial, especially near a waterhole. They do not just come to drink, they come to survive, a space to cool down, to care for their bodies, and to maintain the bonds that hold the herd together. An adult elephant can drink from 40 to 80 gallons of water per day, using its trunk, the only tool it has, to suck up each mouthful and spray it into its mouth. The waterhole is not just a place to drink. They are natural spas, playgrounds, and social centers. The young calves play, the adults spray water on each other, and the younger males test their strength in harmless sparring matches. When the surface water runs out, the elephants dig deeper, using their tusks and front feet to break through the dry mud or sand in search of hidden underground water sources. In doing so, they not only save themselves, but often uncover water for other species as well. This behavior has earned the elephant the title of ecosystem engineer. They are widely distributed across Africa, with a continent-wide population estimated at about 415,000 individuals. However, from 1964 to 2016, the number of savanna elephants has declined by as much as 70% and forest elephants by up to 90%, mainly due to habitat loss and poaching. Their migration is tied to the water. In the rainy season, the elephants wander far in search of fresh food. But as the dry season tightens its grip, they return to the most reliable waterholes. At the waterhole, the elephant reigns supreme. Their dominance can be forceful, even aggressive, but it is also how they secure the resources for their herd. Amidst the scorched plains of Africa, where the ground cracks like the skin of some ancient reptile, water is more precious than gold. The earth is cracked, the air vibrates. The waterhole, now just a shallow mud pit, becomes an arena for giants. An old bull elephant, his face patient but full of authority, approaches. But at the water's edge, a black rhino stands, its gaze defiant. Two monarchs of the savannah, each carrying the pride of its species, are now forced to confront each other for every precious drop of water. No roars, no howls, just a pressurized silence. A battle of wills where both know that a single small mistake could cost the weaker one dearly. Will the herd strength of the elephant subdue the solitary will of the rhino, or will its inherent stubbornness hold its ground? The unforgiving battle for life is happening right now. And in the dry dust, another figure steps out with a distinct toughness. The black rhino is not a species that is particularly attached to any one waterhole. They only seek out water during the quieter hours of the day. Each visit may last only a few minutes, enough to drink their fill before retreating to the safety of the surrounding bushes. In ideal conditions, they can drink up to 9 gallons of water per day. But in times of drought, they can go several days without drinking, relying instead on the moisture in the leaves they eat. The soft mud around the edge of the waterhole often bears their large, circular footprints. This cool, damp mud helps to regulate their temperature, and when it dries, it forms a natural shield that protects against UV rays and insects. Although largely solitary, the black rhino still leaves invisible messages around the waterhole. They mark the area with dung piles and by spraying streams of urine, signals that convey information about their sex and reproductive status. With a strong sense of territory and a volatile temperament, confrontations are often unavoidable. Encounters between two individuals can escalate into fierce battles, both using their sharp horns to attack. But in the dry season, access to water can be more precious than life itself. Then the sky changes, opening a new chapter of renewal. As the dry season ends, the sky over the savanna begins to change color. The first clouds of the season gather, heavy but full of promise. The first rains fall in light, scattered drops, then gradually become heavier and more regular, soaking the cracked earth. This is when the waterholes begin to transform. From shrunken mud puddles, they slowly fill, then overflow, pushing their boundaries wider day by day. No longer confined by the limits of the dry season, the waterholes expand, some doubling or even quintupling in size. The water is not just more abundant, but also cleaner. The heavy rains dilute the muddy bottom, washing away months of accumulated sediment. Around the waterholes, the landscape changes at a remarkable speed. In just 2 to 3 weeks of regular rain, fresh grass covers the ground. These young shoots are soft, tender, and rich in nutrients. An ideal food source for large herbivores like zebras, wildebeest, and buffalo. It is not just the local wildlife that responds. Migratory birds begin to arrive from Europe, Central Asia, and the Middle East. And on the new water's surface, a graceful bird begins a peculiar walk. The newly formed shallow waters quickly become feeding and breeding grounds for wading birds. This is the time when a bird known by the nickname Jesus bird, the African jacana, begins its remarkable journey. They do not fly in a hurry. They arrive gently, almost silently, leaving delicate, fine footprints like brushstrokes on the floating lily pads. The African jacana's ability to walk on floating vegetation is one of nature's most incredible feats. They have exceptionally long toes and slender claws, which help to distribute their body weight over a much larger surface area. The rainy season waterhole environment is an ideal setting for this bird. The spreading, still shallow waters are filled with a jumble of floating plants that form a vibrant labyrinth. The African jacana weaves through the gaps in the leaves, using its long beak to gently probe the underside in search of insects, larvae, and spiders. Each cluster of leaves is a world of its own, and the jacana is a patient, graceful hunter. Unlike most bird species, the African jacana follows a completely reversed breeding system. The female is the larger, more brightly colored individual and the one who dominates the territory. It maintains a large area in which several males reside. After mating, the female lays her eggs in a nest built by a male, then quickly moves on to repeat the cycle with other partners. Meanwhile, the female is already in another corner of the waterhole, preparing for her next round of nesting. Instead of investing completely in one clutch, the female spreads the survival risk over multiple nests. And the male, although taking on the role of caregiver, is the key figure in preserving the species' genetic legacy. But this fragile peace is soon broken by a motionless grey shadow. After the African jacana has gracefully walked on the water, the scene opens up to fresh rainwater spreading across the savanna. In the stillness of the waterhole, a grey heron appears, as motionless as a statue in the shallow water. At nearly 3 feet tall with a wingspan that can be up to 69 inches, the grey heron is an unmistakable silhouette. And yet, when it stands perfectly still, blending in with the grey sky and the low bushes, it almost disappears from the sight of its prey. In the wet, slow rhythm of the rainy season, when everything softens and moves more gently, the grey heron's patient and silent hunting style becomes even more effective. It does not chase its prey. Instead, the heron uses an ambush strategy. It stands perfectly still, often on one leg, for many minutes. Beneath the murky water, fish, tadpoles, frogs, and insects go about their business, unaware that the long shadow above is waiting for the slightest movement. When the moment comes, the grey heron strikes with incredible speed. Its sharp, spear-like beak shoots down in a split second, precise and decisive. In the ever-moving ecosystem of the waterhole, the grey heron is not particularly picky about its meals. Fish is still the top choice, but if a shrimp, a crab, a small crustacean, or even a vole or a stray chick comes too close to the water's edge, it will not be ignored. The waterhole is also a social center for the grey heron. As the breeding season approaches, they gather in large groups, often nesting in tall trees near the water. A typical nest contains 3 to 5 pale blue eggs. After hatching, the chicks stay in the nest for 7 to 8 weeks until they are strong enough to spread their wings and fly. And yet, not all choose silence. Some turn the waterhole into a dance floor. Some are permanent residents, while others migrate from the temperate regions to the south when conditions become harsher. Although they share the color gray in both their plumage and their name, the gray-crowned crane exhibits a completely different lifestyle. As the ground begins to retain water after the first rains, these cranes land with their wings spread, carrying a regal presence. Unlike the silent hunters like the grey heron, this crane rarely stands still. It moves constantly along the water's edge, each step graceful but purposeful. With each firm stomp on the damp ground, the mud beneath vibrates. Insects, frogs, and other small creatures hidden under the surface are startled and emerge. This foot-stomping feeding method is a characteristic behavior demonstrating the bird's intelligence in actively interacting with its environment. Their diet has few limits, from grasshoppers and crickets to seeds, young grass, lizards, worms, and sometimes even bird eggs. In the heart of the flooded plains, the grey-crowned crane is not just here to hunt, it is here to connect, to belong. The individuals are often seen in pairs or small family groups. They gather around the shallow pools, sipping the clear water, basking in the sunday. In the stillness of the landscape, those calls travel far, creating a kind of primal music that only those who have heard it in person can truly understand. Researchers believe that these dances are not just mating rituals, they strengthen the bond between the lifelong partners. Although not a long-distance migratory species, the gray-crowned crane does move seasonally, following the water sources and the promise of lush vegetation. They are widely distributed throughout eastern and southern Africa. This bird is the national symbol of Uganda, appearing in the center of its flag in a proud posture, representing grace, composure, and national pride. In the wild, the gray-crowned crane lives for an average of 20 to 25 years, and in captivity, they can live up to 35 or even 40. However, their status as a cultural icon does not come from their longevity, but from their refined demeanor, their complex social habits, and their unique ability to express emotion. Then suddenly, a brilliant red beak silently descends into the shallow water. The saddle-billed stork silently enters the shallow water. Its brilliant red beak, banded with yellow, glitters in the light. Unlike the ambush predators like the heron, the saddle-billed stork hunts with a more deliberate and active approach. It usually forages alone or in pairs, wading slowly through the shallow waters with a calm, focused demeanor. Its unhurried stride and sweeping gaze glide over the water's surface. But it is its large beak, nearly 12 inches long, that is the real hunting tool. Instead of striking randomly, the bird constantly dips its beak into the water, as if scanning for the slightest ripples beneath the mud. The moment the tip of the beak feels even the slightest twitch, be it a gentle flick of a catfish or a sideways crawl of a crab, the snap is instantaneous. When it catches a fish nearly half its own length, the stork will usually carry it to the bank, turning the fish with its beak to swallow it head first. At up to 5 feet tall, with a wingspan of nearly 8 feet, the saddle-billed stork is one of the largest birds in Africa. The males are generally heavier, averaging 14 pounds compared to the females' 13. An easy way to distinguish the sexes in the wild is by their eye color. Their preferred habitats are large, shallow wetlands, swamps, floodplain lakes, and seasonal river channels. The loss of wetland habitat, groundwater extraction, riverine deforestation, and agricultural runoff have shrunk their range. But the waterhole never stops. It continues to cycle, opening a new chapter of life and the battle for conservation. As the seasonal rains fill the natural depressions across the land, a waterhole is not merely a new pool on the savanna, it becomes the engine that restarts the entire ecosystem. From the nutrient-rich mud that attracts the return of aquatic life, to the lush green grasslands that draw the migrating herds, and even the arrival of the predators that follow their prey. In the rainy season, each waterhole becomes a biological crossroads from which life radiates. In the dry season, its role becomes even more crucial. Each day, the largest residents of the savanna need hundreds of liters of water just to regulate their body temperature and to survive. Even the species that can go longer without drinking rarely stray more than 2 days from a water source. In the dry season, when the average rainfall drops below 2 inches a month, the waterholes become essential gathering points. However, human intervention in the availability of water has not always produced the expected results. Studies have shown that the too even distribution of water sources has disrupted the natural movement patterns, putting pressure on the vegetation. Restricting the supply of artificial water is not about cutting off life. It is a strategy to restore balance. As the animals have to travel further to find water, the interval between the reproductive cycles of some of the largest species has increased. However, the role of a waterhole is not just to sustain wildlife. Thousands of animals drink, defecate, and urinate here, turning the area into a fertile strip of land. This cycle continues, tightly intertwined, silently precise, all without the need for a human hand. The waterhole is a lifeline, a gathering place, a battlefield, a stage, all existing in a small space, but connecting hundreds of species. To humans, it may seem like nothing more than a mud puddle, but for the wild world, it is where life begins, regenerates, and reconnects. And as the rains begin to dissipate across the savanna, where the ground cracks and the dry bushes struggle under the heat, the waterholes are no longer a gift of nature. They become a battlefield against disappearance. In these conditions, the conservation efforts are launched with urgency and innovation. In Kenya's Tsavo Conservancy, 2 new boreholes have been drilled deep into the earth, providing a stable source of water for the people, their livestock, and the countless herds of wildlife. In Zimbabwe's Hwang National Park, over 25 hybrid solar and diesel-powered pumps operate continuously, keeping the waterholes full even at night. In South Africa, the artificial waterholes are strategically placed based on the specific preferences of each species. Each drop of water is now no longer something that falls freely. It is preserved thanks to the joint efforts of science, the local communities, and the silent guardians. But that life cannot exist without the protective hand of humans. Conservation is not just the job of organizations. It begins with the awareness and the small actions of each individual. Because when the natural world suffers anywhere, we, wherever we are, also lose a part of ourselves. And if you have ever experienced an African safari, watching the rhinos and the elephants gather at a waterhole to quench their thirst, do not hesitate to share your knowledge and experiences. Your story could become the spark that ignites future conservation efforts. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join us on our next extraordinary adventure. In the wilds of the Philippines, the struggle for survival is a constant, an endless cycle of life and endurance. In the ecosystem of the Palawan rainforest, The dense canopy is both a refuge and a battlefield for countless species. The Philippine spotted deer, with its brown coat flecked with white, moves silently through the dense undergrowth. High above, the Philippine eagle soars, its wings outstretched against the sky. And hidden beneath the leaves is the Philippine tarsier, tiny but incredibly resourceful. It moves through the branches with astonishing agility. It must always evade the eagle's sharp eyes, a predator that never loses sight of its target. Along the coast of the Verde Island Passage, the heart of the Coral Triangle, a giant whale shark glides gently, a gentle giant of the sea. But not all marine inhabitants are so placid. The tiny blue-ringed octopus, despite its modest size, carries a venom potent enough to stop a human heart. In the mangrove forests of Aurora, mudskippers dance on the water's surface like acrobats, seizing every opportunity to find food. Here, the crab-eating macaque faces the devastation of typhoons and the pressure of competition from other species. Meanwhile, the saltwater crocodile lies in ambush, its patience, a testament to its formidable predatory instinct. Every moment in this vibrant land is a relentless battle for survival. And every movement is a testament to the fierce vitality of nature. But these victories are fragile, demanding steadfast protection to ensure they are not the final notes of this symphony of life. Lying along the Pacific Ring of Fire, the Philippines is one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. It is not only home to over 20 active volcanoes, but is also the meeting point of 3 massive tectonic plates. The relentless collision of these plates millions of years ago gave birth to the Philippine archipelago. This process was like a master sculptor, constantly carving, erupting, and building to create towering mountains and deep valleys. The landscape of the Philippines is a diverse tapestry, from high peaks to vibrant coral reefs beneath the ocean. In Luzon, the rice terraces of the Cordilleras are a fusion of human ingenuity and natural beauty. Built over 2,000 years ago, these terraces look like stairways to the heavens. But the story of the Philippines is not just about nature. The history of this archipelago is a timeless epic. About 67,000 years ago, the first evidence of human presence was found on the island of Luzon. Indigenous tribes like the Aita have existed for millennia, preserving their unique cultures. The era of cultural exchange began when Ferdinand Magellan arrived in the Philippines in 1521, bringing with him over 300 years of Spanish influence. Religion and architecture have shaped this nation. Catholicism is deeply rooted in the lives of the people, with over 86% of the population being Catholic. In the late 19th century, the Philippines became a colony of the United States. This period ushered in modernization, from an American-style education system to infrastructure development. In 1946, the Philippines gained its independence, beginning a new chapter in its development and integration. The tropical climate of the Philippines is like an artist, constantly painting vibrant landscapes that change with the seasons. Each year, the Philippines experiences two main seasons: the dry season and the rainy season. The dry season, from December to May, brings bright sunshine and clear blue skies. From June to November, the rainy season covers the islands with torrential downpours, with an average annual rainfall of 91 inches. This period is also marked by powerful typhoons, with an average of 20 typhoons per year, some of which are among the strongest on the planet. It is these harsh conditions that have shaped a unique environment where life must adapt to survive. The biodiversity of the rainforests in the Philippines is truly astonishing. It is one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. The Philippines belongs to the group of 17 megadiverse countries, which together hold 70 to 80% of the planet's biological species. To date, over 15,000 plant species have been recorded, with about 50% being endemic. The wildlife is no less remarkable, with over 1,000 species of vertebrates and hundreds of thousands of invertebrate species. The rainforests tell a story of life and adaptation. The tamaroa, a wild dwarf buffalo, has existed for thousands of years, perfectly adapted to the rugged terrain of Mindoro Island. However, habitat loss has pushed their numbers to below 500, making them one of the most critically endangered species. Besides, the pitcher plant Nepenthes philippinensis, a unique carnivorous plant, showcases nature's creativity. With its pitcher-shaped traps, filled with sweet nectar, it silently catches and consumes unsuspecting insects. In contrast, the Palawan peacock pheasant, adorned with sparkling green eyes on its feathers, is a masterpiece of natural art. In the stillness of the pristine tropical rainforests, the Philippine eagle soars high as a living symbol of the wild. With the nickname monkey-eating eagle, it appears in folklore and myths, associated with the image of a warrior protecting the ancient forests. On currency, postage stamps, and the national coat of arms, the image of the Philippine eagle is a testament to the country's independence and strength. The Philippine eagle emerged millions of years ago in an environment isolated by the ocean. This isolation created a unique evolutionary branch, where this bird developed distinct characteristics to adapt to the tropical jungle. With keen eyes that can see up to 1.8 miles, it is capable of tracking prey in the dense forests. The feathers on its head stand erect like a natural crown, accentuating its proud appearance. A wingspan of over 7 feet provides incredible agility to navigate through the narrow gaps in the forest. They are found mainly on the large islands of Luzon, Samar, Leyte, and Mindanao, where the primary forests still exist. The Philippine eagle is a devoted parent. Each pair produces only one offspring every 2 years, which makes the survival of the young extremely important for the entire population. The nurturing process is not just a biological act, but also a transmission of hunting skills, helping the young to learn how to survive in a challenging world. The Philippine eagle is a highly territorial species, with each pair controlling a vast area of up to 37,000 acres. They hunt prey such as monkeys, flying lemurs, snakes, and small birds. Their hunting technique is not just based on strength, but a perfect combination of patience and strategy. It often perches motionless for hours on high branches, its sharp eyes able to detect any movement up to 1.8 miles below. Sometimes, the eagle silently stalks its prey through the canopy, taking advantage of every opening to get closer. Each dive is not only lightning fast, but also incredibly precise. With talons 4 inches long and as sharp as razors, a single strike is enough to subdue large prey like flying lemurs or monkeys. The presence of this eagle extends far beyond the role of a mere predator. Thanks to its special hunting ability, it controls the populations of species like the flying lemur and monkeys, ensuring no species becomes overpopulated. However, the story of the Philippine eagle is not just one of pride. Their current population in the wild is estimated to be only about 400 to 600 individuals. The primary forests, their home, are under serious threat from agricultural expansion and urbanization. Furthermore, illegal hunting and population fragmentation are increasingly hindering their ability to reproduce and survive. Under the dense canopy of the tropical rainforest, the tarsier hides in the darkness like a mysterious creature. Though tiny, it is blessed with extraordinary survival abilities. The presence of the tarsier is the result of millions of years of evolution in the isolated environment of the Philippine archipelago. This tropical archipelago, with its diverse flora and fauna, has allowed the tarsier to develop unique characteristics. This power comes not just from their size, but also from the unique structure of their retinas, which allows them to capture light much more effectively than the human eye. Complementing its special vision is the ability to turn its head 180 degrees, giving it a panoramic view without moving its body. However, the tarsier is not just a predator, it plays an important role in maintaining ecological balance. By controlling the insect population, it prevents the outbreak of pests, protecting the trees and vegetation. At the same time, it is also prey for larger animals like the Philippine hawk owl, contributing to the stability of the natural food chain. But its story is also one of conservation. The expansion of agricultural land, logging and habitat loss have pushed this species onto the near-threatened list of the IUCN Red List. In addition, the pressure from hunting for the pet trade or for tourism has exacerbated their precarious situation. In the wilds of the Philippines, the struggle for survival is a constant, an endless cycle of life and endurance. In the ecosystem of the Palawan rainforest, the dense canopy is both a refuge and a battlefield for countless species. The Philippines spotted deer, with its brown coat flecked with white, moves silently through the dense undergrowth. High above, the Philippine eagle soars, its wings outstretched against the sky. And hidden beneath the leaves is the Philippine tarsier, tiny but incredibly resourceful. It moves through the branches with astonishing agility. It must always evade the eagle's sharp eyes, a predator that never loses sight of its target. Along the coast of the Verde Island Passage, the heart of the Coral Triangle, a giant whale shark glides gently, a gentle giant of the sea. But not all marine inhabitants are so placid. The tiny blue-ringed octopus, despite its modest size, carries a venom potent enough to stop a human heart. In the mangrove forests of Aurora, mudskippers dance on the water's surface like acrobats, seizing every opportunity to find food. Here, the crab-eating macaque faces the devastation of typhoons and the pressure of competition from other species. Meanwhile, the saltwater crocodile lies in ambush, its patience, a testament to its formidable predatory instinct. Every moment in this vibrant land is a relentless battle for survival. And every movement is a testament to the fierce vitality of nature. But these victories are fragile, demanding steadfast protection to ensure they are not the final notes of this symphony of life. Lying along the Pacific Ring of Fire, the Philippines is one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. It is not only home to over 20 active volcanoes, but is also the meeting point of 3 massive tectonic plates. The relentless collision of these plates millions of years ago gave birth to the Philippine archipelago. This process was like a master sculptor, constantly carving, erupting, and building to create towering mountains and deep valleys. The landscape of the Philippines is a diverse tapestry, from high peaks to vibrant coral reefs beneath the ocean. In Luzon, the rice terraces of the Cordilleras are a fusion of human ingenuity and natural beauty. Built over 2,000 years ago, these terraces look like stairways to the heavens. But the story of the Philippines is not just about nature. The history of this archipelago is a timeless epic. About 67,000 years ago, the first evidence of human presence was found on the island of Luzon. Indigenous tribes like the Aita have existed for millennia, preserving their unique cultures. The era of cultural exchange began when Ferdinand Magellan arrived in the Philippines in 1521, bringing with him over 300 years of Spanish influence. Religion and architecture have shaped this nation. Catholicism is deeply rooted in the lives of the people, with over 86% of the population being Catholic. In the late 19th century, the Philippines became a colony of the United States. This period ushered in modernization, from an American-style education system to infrastructure development. In 1946, the Philippines gained its independence, beginning a new chapter in its development and integration. The tropical climate of the Philippines is like an artist, constantly painting vibrant landscapes that change with the seasons. Each year, the Philippines experiences two main seasons: the dry season and the rainy season. The dry season, from December to May, brings bright sunshine and clear blue skies. From June to November, the rainy season covers the islands with torrential downpours, with an average annual rainfall of 91 inches. This period is also marked by powerful typhoons, with an average of 20 typhoons per year, some of which are among the strongest on the planet. It is these harsh conditions that have shaped a unique environment where life must adapt to survive. The biodiversity of the rainforests in the Philippines is truly astonishing. It is one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. The Philippines belongs to the group of 17 megadiverse countries, which together hold 70 to 80% of the planet's biological species. To date, over 15,000 plant species have been recorded, with about 50% being endemic. The wildlife is no less remarkable, with over 1,000 species of vertebrates and hundreds of thousands of invertebrate species. The rainforests tell a story of life and adaptation. The tamaroa, a wild dwarf buffalo, has existed for thousands of years, perfectly adapted to the rugged terrain of Mindoro Island. However, habitat loss has pushed their numbers to below 500, making them one of the most critically endangered species. Besides, the pitcher plant Nepenthes philippinensis, a unique carnivorous plant, showcases nature's creativity. With its pitcher-shaped traps filled with sweet nectar, it silently catches and consumes unsuspecting insects. In contrast, the Palawan peacock pheasant, adorned with sparkling green eyes on its feathers, is a masterpiece of natural art. In the stillness of the pristine tropical rainforests, the Philippine eagle soars high as a living symbol of the wild. With the nickname monkey-eating eagle, it appears in folklore and myths, associated with the image of a warrior protecting the ancient forests. On currency, postage stamps, and the national coat of arms, the image of the Philippine eagle is a testament to the country's independence and strength. The Philippine eagle emerged millions of years ago in an environment isolated by the ocean. This isolation created a unique evolutionary branch, where this bird developed distinct characteristics to adapt to the tropical jungle. With keen eyes that can see up to 1.8 miles, it is capable of tracking prey in the dense forests. The feathers on its head stand erect like a natural crown, accentuating its proud appearance. A wingspan of over 7 feet provides incredible agility to navigate through the narrow gaps in the forest. They are found mainly on the large islands of Luzon, Samar, Leyte, and Mindanao, where the primary forests still exist. The Philippine eagle is a devoted parent. Each pair produces only one offspring every 2 years, which makes the survival of the young extremely important for the entire population. The nurturing process is not just a biological act, but also a transmission of hunting skills, helping the young to learn how to survive in a challenging world. The Philippine eagle is a highly territorial species, with each pair controlling a vast area of up to 37,000 acres. They hunt prey such as monkeys, flying lemurs, snakes, and small birds. Their hunting technique is not just based on strength, but a perfect combination of patience and strategy. It often perches motionless for hours on high branches, its sharp eyes able to detect any movement up to 1.8 miles below. Sometimes, the eagle silently stalks its prey through the canopy, taking advantage of every opening to get closer. Each dive is not only lightning fast, but also incredibly precise. With talons 4 inches long and as sharp as razors, a single strike is enough to subdue large prey like flying lemurs or monkeys. The presence of this eagle extends far beyond the role of a mere predator. Thanks to its special hunting ability, it controls the populations of species like the flying lemur and monkeys, ensuring no species becomes overpopulated. However, the story of the Philippine eagle is not just one of pride. Their current population in the wild is estimated to be only about 400 to 600 individuals. The primary forests, their home, are under serious threat from agricultural expansion and urbanization. Furthermore, illegal hunting and population fragmentation are increasingly hindering their ability to reproduce and survive. Under the dense canopy of the tropical rainforest, the tarsier hides in the darkness like a mysterious creature. Though tiny, it is blessed with extraordinary survival abilities. The presence of the tarsier is the result of millions of years of evolution in the isolated environment of the Philippine archipelago. This tropical archipelago, with its diverse flora and fauna, has allowed the tarsier to develop unique characteristics. This power comes not just from their size, but also from the unique structure of their retinas, which allows them to capture light much more effectively than the human eye. Complementing its special vision is the ability to turn its head 180 degrees, giving it a panoramic view without moving its body. However, the tarsier is not just a predator, it plays an important role in maintaining ecological balance. By controlling the insect population, it prevents the outbreak of pests, protecting the trees and vegetation. At the same time, it is also prey for larger animals like the Philippine hawk owl, contributing to the stability of the natural food chain. but its story is also one of conservation. The expansion of agricultural land, logging and habitat loss have pushed this species onto the near-threatened list of the IUCN Red List. In addition, the pressure from hunting for the pet trade or for tourism has exacerbated their precarious situation.